Deeply concerned by the worsening global pollution and terrified that the world's natural resources may one day run out, the University of Chicago launches a potentially revolutionary scientific project to extract clean hydrogen energy from water. For this ambitious dream, the project leader, Dr. Paul Shannon, elects an ambitious scientist who more than anything dreams of rescuing the Earth as head of the project and assembles a small team made up of project head, physicist, Dr. Lily Sinclair, project manager, Dr. Liu Chen, and a bright young machinist student, Eddie Kosalovich, dedicated to achieve one of the greatest scientific breakthroughs of all time. The team commits themselves entirely to the project over the next few months, sacrificing sleep and their personal lives to spend the majority of each day in the laboratory. And instead of being discouraged with the numerous failed trials, the team treats the setbacks as teaching experiences and goes again, each time with renewed determination, hoping to change the world for the better. One morning, Eddie rises early, heads to the laboratory to join the rest of the team. And as set up for the experiment, Dr. Paul arrives to get his regular update, sustained fusion for 4.6 milliseconds. The team takes a few minutes to try to work out the configurations, prepares a demonstration, and invites Dr. Paul to join them. Then, everyone gathers, crosses their fingers, holds their breath, and fires the laser to start the experiment. But it all once again goes sideways. Seeing his team deflated, Dr. Allister reminds them of the stakes, motivates them to take what they learned from the failed experiment and adjust the data and retry, and everyone returns to work without dwelling too much on the shortcomings. That night, Eddie returns home, continues working on the project in his home lab, and after a few hours is stunned to discover a sound frequency that perfectly stabilizes their experiment. Stunned, Eddie takes time to verify what he has just witnessed, and after making sure everything is in order, makes a call. The next day at the lab, the team gathers and, using Eddie's new discovery, sets up the experiment while holding their breath with anticipation and utter hope of replicating the success. Then, within minutes, the team gets the results they were hoping for and becomes utterly delighted to see the unprecedented success. While Dr. Paul, who's stunned out of his mind, sits down to take in the greatest moment of his career, the rest, led by Dr. Allister, heads off to take a closer look at the epic results, and seemingly endless work has paid off. While the team congratulates one another, breaks out the drinks, balloons, and music, and starts celebrating the incredible feat, Dr. Paul pulls Dr. Allister away for a private discussion. The meeting is soon interrupted by the rest of the team, who invite the duo to join them for pictures, which will forever commemorate the occasion and capture the historic moment. Then, after a couple of hours of partying, the team decides to call it a night, and while Dr. Allister and Dr. Liu stay back to finish up, the rest decide to go home. Hence, Eddie leaves the lab, and as he proceeds to take his motorcycle, he notices Dr. Lily struggling to start her car, and soon figures out that the battery had died. Seeing that it's quite dark, Eddie decides to escort the drunk Dr. Lily home by bus. And as soon as the duo heads off, unbeknownst to anyone, a mysterious van arrives. Meanwhile, inside the lab, Dr. Allister and Dr. Liu continue working. As a group of people gets out of the mysterious van and heads inside the lab, Dr. Liu hears strange sounds, leaves his seat, and cautiously inspects the lab. Elsewhere, Eddie escorts Dr. Lily to Allister's home, where she lives on the third floor. Once there, Eddie walks the wobbling doctor to her bedroom, where she quickly falls asleep, and just as he proceeds to leave, he sees a wall full of her framed certificates showing her achievements. Then, Eddie returns to the lab to retrieve his motorcycle, and as he gets there, he notices the mysterious van leaving. He's shocked to hear the alarm blaring from inside the lab, and runs inside to find out what's going on. Inside, Eddie calls out for his colleagues as loud as he can, finds no response, and as he goes around looking for them, he's shocked out of his mind to find Allister dead on the floor with a plastic bag around his head, while Dr. Liu is nowhere to be found. Unable to comprehend what he's seeing, and in denial that the great mentor he admired is gone, Eddie tries to resuscitate him for a few minutes, to no avail. Devastated, Eddie then turns his attention to the alarm and is shocked to see that the successful system they had just celebrated only a few hours ago has become extremely unstable, with no way to deactivate it or stabilize it. Knowing the inevitable outcome, Eddie pushes aside his grief, confusion, and questions, runs out to his motorcycle, drives as fast as he can, and barely escapes and survives the massive explosion caused by a detonator triggered by the people in the van that ends up destroying the lab and 8 blocks of surrounding street. In the aftermath, Eddie manages to get up and watches on, paralyzed by disbelief and utter confusion, as the night that had started with great hope for humanity and celebrations ends in an incomprehensible disaster. Later, forcing himself out of his trance, Eddie somehow leaves and makes a call, shocked to his core. Dr. Paul spends hours trying to wrap his head around the implications of what he had just learned and quietly looks outside as if mourning what could have been. The next morning, the media swarms demolish the explosion site, trying to make sense out of what just happened. Then the FBI arrives and tries to find out the facts of what happened. While the devastated team stands aside, overwhelmed by the loss, the FBI agents comb through the scene, gathering as much evidence as they can. Later, the team is taken to the FBI headquarters for questioning later as Dr. Lilly. Dr. Paul and Eddie head to Dr. Alistair's house. They are swarmed by the media. Then, unable to stay at the late doctor's house any longer, Dr. Lilly starts packing her stuff and prepares to leave. Moments later, Dr. Lilly receives an unexpected fax, eagerly reads it, but is shocked by the content. After taking a few minutes to process what's on the fax and inspecting it closely, the doctor has a shocking revelation. Later, Agent Leon and Agent Doyle visit Dr. Paul at his office located at the Center for Advanced Research building, elsewhere hoping to find some temporary refuge. Eddie proceeds to take Dr. Lilly to his loft, but as the duo nears his building, they see FBI agents swarming it and quickly flee the area. Meanwhile, Agent Doyle and his team head to Eddie's apartment and turn it upside down, trying to gather as much information as they can. To make matters worse for Eddie, as the agents continue their search, they find wads of cash lying around and suspect that the machinist may know more than he let on. Meanwhile, having nowhere else to go, Dr. Lilly and Eddie go to Dr. Paul's apartment building, hide in the parking lot, and wait to speak to him. On the other side of the city, at the FBI headquarters, the agents discuss the curious case and those involved, relieved to have an ally and feeling like the whole ordeal will soon be worked out. Dr. Lilly and Eddie go to a local restaurant to get some respite and plan their next move. However, the duo's plans are soon interrupted as a special news report regarding the case comes on TV. Pushing her growing panic aside, Dr. Lilly cautiously steps out of the restaurant, gets a cab, and as she proceeds to leave for the Union Station, she watches in horror as Eddie, who had left the restaurant soon after her, is recognized and chased by agents. Unable to help her friend, Dr. Lilly continues on her way, desperately hoping Eddie will somehow make it to the station. Meanwhile, determined to remain free and prove his innocence, Eddie runs for his life as the agents, together with Chicago police officers, continue chasing him soon. More officers and agents, including police helicopters and boats, join the chase as Eddie runs onto a bascule bridge and barely manages to get away from an officer chasing him closely. As the whole city watches the ordeal with confusion, Eddie gets to the top of the bridge and tries to figure out his next move. That was quite brave. Eddie then cautiously starts going over, shocking the agents and everyone watching the ordeal. Eddie manages to get down, stops the bridge just in time, makes his way back, and unbeknownst to the agents, discreetly passes right under their noses and escapes. Then Eddie flees the area, and against all odds, makes it to the station just in time. He's then reunited with a relieved Dr. Lilly, who warmly embraces him. Then, after an exhausting trip, the duo reaches the observatory and meets Maggie, who warmly welcomes them. A couple of days later, as a leader of the project, Dr. Paul appears in front of the Select Senate Committee to explain the ordeal. Elsewhere, with the help of Maggie, Dr. Lilly and Eddie try to figure out who could be behind all the chaos. Nobody knows what's going on now, Maggie. In Washington, despite the FBI closely following him, Dr. Paul heads to Leesburg, Virginia, to a research center called C Systems, and calmly walks in, while the agents are later denied access. Dr. Paul then meets with C Systems Lyman Collier. Later, as Dr. Paul leads a meeting, he receives a call. As the sirens get closer, Eddie profusely thanks Maggie for everything and runs back to the observatory to retrieve Dr. Lilly. With friends like these, who needs enemies? Eddie runs as fast as he can to evade capture and finally reaches Dr. Lilly. However, his troubles are far from over, as the duo is soon caught by a state trooper who follows them to the roof. As the cornered duo proceeds to surrender and slowly follow the trooper's orders, a helicopter arrives. And to their shock, instead of assisting the trooper, the man inside shoots him dead, spares the duo's life, framing them with yet another crime in the process in Lee's. As officers start arriving at the observatory, without having a moment to wrap their heads around what just occurred, Eddie takes the gun from the dead man, and the duo runs as fast as they can with the officers in tow. Luckily, after an exhausting run, the duo finds a fire rescue boat and uses it to flee the area. Fortunately, on the other side, the duo finds an empty house, takes shelter, and a much-needed respite. Once inside, seeing that the doctor is freezing, Eddie looks after her and draws her a warm bath to get her body temperature up. In Washington, Agent Leon and Doyle barge into Dr. Paul's estate to confront him with their recent findings. Elsewhere at the house, Eddie cooks Dr. Lilly, who's slowly recovering some dinner from ingredients he finds in the refrigerator, and momentarily joins her. Eddie then comforts Dr. Lilly and, hoping they can use it for their escape, goes out to the garage to fix the car he saw parked there. Later, disturbed by what he had learned from the agents, a frustrated Dr. Paul visits Lyman at his office. At the empty house, Eddie finishes fixing the car, goes out for a walk to clear his head. Eddie is alarmed to see a flashlight through the windows of the house, realizes that an intruder has entered, and fearing for Dr. Lilly's safety, cautiously returns. However, once inside, Eddie overhears a disturbing conversation. With the help of Dr. Lilly, Eddie manages to neutralize the assailants, and shocked by the close call, the duo drives away while going through the contents of the intruders' wallets. Despite failing to learn their identities, the duo gets clues hinting at connections to Leesburg, Virginia. Later, the duo gets to the city, and hoping to make their next move, Dr. Lilly heads to a florist. Hoping to find out more about the peculiar delivery, the FBI stops the delivery man and questions him. That afternoon, having correctly deciphered Eddie's note, Dr. Paul meets him at the Science Museum, as if he hadn't just admitted to completely ruining Eddie and Dr. Lilly's lives. Dr. Paul calmly walks away, knowing Lyman's goons are nearby and will handle the duo. Then an exhausting chase ensues as Lyman's crew chases the duo around the museum. Unfortunately, after a few minutes, Eddie and Dr. Lilly are separated, and the doctor is captured, sedated, and kidnapped. Eddie sees this from a distance, tries to catch up with the fleeing car to no avail, and only manages to memorize its license plate. A couple of hours later, Dr. Lilly wakes up and finds herself at the C-System facility. Good question. At the FBI office, hoping to get more insight into the case and learn about the team's dynamic, Agent Leon watches videos of Eddie and Dr. Alistair. Meanwhile, after using his wit to trace the license plate, Eddie heads to the C-Systems facility, gets inside disguised as one of the workers, and goes to the lab, where Dr. Liu and Dr. Lilly are forced to conduct an experiment with a warning that they must replicate their recent success. However, a few minutes after the experiment is started, while everyone watches with anticipation, the system becomes terribly unstable. As everyone leaves for the night and retires to their quarters, Eddie sneaks into the E and, using his expertise, spends a few minutes fixing it. The next morning, Dr. Paul arrives early to work on the experiment and figure out the issues, and receives surprising news. Dr. Paul doesn't believe either the news or who was behind the success, rushes to the lab to see it for himself, and finds everyone excitedly awaiting his arrival. While Lyman suspiciously watches Dr. Paul, wondering where he's going at such a big moment, Dr. Paul heads out to meet with his secretary, Anita. Then Dr. Paul returns to his office and finds Eddie comfortably sitting in his chair and discreetly writing an email to Agent Leon. The duo is soon interrupted by Lyman, who shows up with his goons. Annoyed by the response, Eddie swiftly sends the email along with some valuable data to the FBI, and in the same move shuts down the systems of the experiment remotely, which sends shocking waves. "Why don't you fix it now like you supposedly did earlier, Lucas?" At the FBI office, the agents receive Eddie's message. At the C-Systems facility, the celebrations soon turn into panic and utter chaos as everyone tries to get the looming disaster under control. Frustrated, the unpredictable Lyman quickly pulls his gun out and, to the shock of everyone, fatally shoots Dr. Liu and takes Dr. Lilly hostage. As if he knows better, Lucas goes against the warnings and turns the systems off. Just like Eddie had predicted, this soon backfires and escalates the chaos. As alarms blare with frightening warnings, the panicked staff tries to save themselves and rushes to evacuate. While Eddie and Dr. Lilly reunite, Lyman proceeds to evacuate the facility, feeling cornered and hoping to assuage the irrational man. Dr. Paul apologizes to the duo, joins the group, and exits the lab. Eddie and Dr. Lilly try to leave the lab, but are attacked by the guards, who shut the duo in and manage to leave just in time. Left to face certain death, the duo tries to find any means necessary to escape, but they are horrified to learn that all the containment doors have closed, trapping them inside for good. Meanwhile, unaware of the chaos following Eddie's message, Agent Leon and Agent Doyle arrive by helicopter. Inside the lab, determined to survive the horrific ordeal, Eddie uses his knowledge to design a way out, and the duo quickly escapes the lab and heads to the lower level. On the other side of the facility, Dr. Paul and Lyman get on the elevator, hoping to make it out as soon as possible. Then, unable to tolerate the erratic man who has become a great liability that thrives on chaos and bloodshed any longer, Dr. Paul fatally shoots Lyman. He then quickly leaves the elevator and proceeds to turn off the containment system, which opens the locked gates, allowing the desperate Eddie and Dr. Lilly to escape. Then, as the relieved duo rushes to find an exit, they are ambushed by Lyman's men, who are still unaware of their boss's fate. Eddie once again outsmarts the men and, after a brutal fight, joins Dr. Lilly and, with the help of the staff on the ground, attempt to get out of the facility, which soon explodes. Then, as everyone holds their breath in anticipation, the duo barely makes it out of the disaster and are met with the happy cheers of the staff. Moments later, as Eddie and Dr. Lilly finally breathe a sigh of relief, they are met by FBI agents who are glad to see that the innocent duo they have been chasing have survived the ordeal. Elsewhere, Dr. Paul walks away from the ordeal unscathed, joins Anita in the car, and drives away seemingly unaffected by the destruction and bloodshed. Later, the whole C-Systems complex implodes, leaving no trace of its existence.